Roger Stone here. Every day you wait, your money loses value, but gold and silver don't follow those same rules. American Sovereign Bullion gives you access to a nationwide wholesaler network, helping you secure aggressive pricing on real physical metals. Call 844-272-2428 now to get your free gold and silver guide to learn how to protect your wealth with physical gold and silver, delivered right to your door or with a gold IRA. Visit asbgold.com. That's asbgold.com for your free gold and silver guide today.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, just a couple of other loose ends here with the Gavin Newsom stuff, and then I don't think I'm going to have to talk about him again until we find out officially that he's out of the race for president, which will happen. I don't know when, I don't know how, but it ain't happening. The Democrats are they're pretty clever. They are pretty clever, actually, in their own way. And let's just see about this. Cut 14, please. Cut 14.
I'm not trying to be someone I'm not. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I tried that for a long time, and I wasn't happy.
Okay, so, you defrauded the voters, right? That's a big problem right there. Cut 13, please.
You tend to see with a lot of political books, a little sanitized, a little safe. Understandably so. Why do you want to lay yourself out when you're trying to make a case for what you're advocating for? And I thought it was time to make a case for a little more authenticity. And that's hard if you're going to get serious about it. You're going to talk about your strengths, but your weaknesses. You're going to talk about your insecurities. You're going to talk about your anxieties. You can talk about your failures. You can talk about your mistakes. And that's what I did in this book.
You see, he said something interesting. I'm going to try a little bit more of that authenticity. I'm going to try out that authenticity. I hear authenticity is in right now. But when he wrote the book, he thought, well, maybe authenticity won't always be in. Maybe people will, revert. Gavin Newsom grew up in the 1970s and 1980s. Remember how presidents were portrayed back then? Right? There was this idea, especially in fiction, especially like in the movies, that the president would be the smartest and best man in the country, right? And there was a kind of a regal kind of quality to being president. And you are supposed to be the best and the smartest and the brightest, right? The leader of the country. So Gavin has it in his head that, that's what you got to be president. Now, he knows he's not those things, right? But then again, with this authenticity and everybody is looking at Trump, wow, watch President Trump. He's letting it all hang out. Why? I should try that. I'm going to try that. And I'm going to let it all hang out. But the problem is for Gavin, he's actually afraid to do that. And this book is not that. He doesn't let it all hang out. He doesn't go about his anxieties and his hang-ups. No, it's a how-to book to be a phony. How to be a phony. Like that Tony Robbins, just copy people. And then he talks about how he actually gets away with fooling people. He's friends with the Getty family for some strange reason. He talks about how poor he is and how rich the Gettys are, but for some reason they went on vacation together. And every now and then he'd be hanging out with these Getty kids, and famous people would assume, as is understandable, well, if you're hanging out with this family, then you must be part of the family. So they started calling him Gavin Getty. You must be one of the Gettys. And what he would do in the book, he'd never correct anybody. He said it. I wouldn't correct them. And I had the sensation of being subversive, and it was pleasant. It was pleasant to fool the people. He doesn't regret it. I said that, I'm not happy doing that. No, he was happy. And he would get things because he was not who he actually was. He'd be treated better. It's the other thing about this book. He goes into all kinds of crazy detail about the smallest things and brushes aside the big things, like the affair over in a paragraph. His psychoanalysis over in the same paragraph, one paragraph. But he goes to a clothing store to shop, courtesy of the Gettys. On and on. He talks about the salesman's mustache, the salesman's shiny shoes. The salesman brings him to the Brioni rack. Oh, the fabrics felt beautiful, and the buttons, and the this, and the that, and the custom, and his second fitting, and his third fitting, and fit for a king. Fit for a king. Let me just see here. One other thing here, if you don't mind. Cut 12.
That's what this book is, and that's what it represents. It's not the veneer of a politician. It's not a sanitized version of a elected official or public servant. It's about me scrutinizing myself in relationship to my past. And as it relates to the present and the future, I'll leave that to others to determine what this benefits or whether this is a burden. But for me, this was a cathartic process, and it's one that I'm very proud of because it's who I am.
It's who I am. And people accept that when they hear it in the interview because it sounds like the kind of thing you say in an interview. But it doesn't make sense. All right? He says he was fooling all the people, including himself, for all these years, and now suddenly he's the real deal, and you can read about it in my book. But in his book, he doesn't talk about that kind of breakdown. He just talks about being a phony. He talks about how you too can be a phony. Because it works. You feel... And the only people, you know who he has contempt for? Not himself for trying to fake out people. He has contempt for the people who fall for the act, who actually go along with it, who actually think that he's actually somebody when he's not. It's really something else. It really is kind of special. I want to revisit the Colbert stuff with Barack Obama because this man is conspirator number one. He conspired against our country and to take out the duly elected president, to sabotage his presidency, and to remove him from power. And I got all kinds of clues right here. These guys, they're big mouths. They can't help it. They can't help it. Because it's not about helping. It's about helping themselves. Cut 17, please. Cut 17. Colbert with Obama.
Yeah. Now that you're no longer in office, what powers do you believe the president should not have?
Well, there are a couple that I followed even though they weren't law. And I want us, we're going to have to do some work to return to this basic norm, and we probably now have to codify it. The White House shouldn't be able to direct the Attorney General to go around prosecuting whoever the president wants to prosecute.
Right, because technically it's under the executive branch. Technically, the norm is that it's independent.
The idea is that the Attorney General is the people's lawyer. It's not the president's consigliere.
Right, even when it's Bobby Kennedy.
It's Bobby Kennedy. And so two of the core principles of a democracy, we can survive a lot. Bad policy, funky elections, there's a bunch of stuff that we can overcome. We can't overcome the politicization of the criminal justice system, the awesome power of the state. You can't have a situation in which whoever's in charge of the government starts using that to go after their political enemies.
Stop for a second. I mean, Joe Biden and what they did, right? And also he's saying we can't overcome this. We can't overcome it. We can't. This is another kind of justification, morally and legally, for assassination of President Trump. That's what he's getting at here. They want him dead. And this is to exaggerate like this. We can't, and to misrepresent because the president is acting constitutionally. Man is dangerous. That is a dangerous man, Barack Obama. In part because he's got a big Gavin Newsom problem, right? He's an empty suit. The worst than screwing over his country would be everybody finding out that he's dumb. He's actually not that smart. He's not that deep. Notice how slow he talks, right? Just to convey gravitas where there is no gravitas. Keep going.
They're friends, right? So another power maybe I'd say would be although this is in the Constitution, it's a little hard to change, but maybe don't pardon people who've given you a bunch of campaign contributions or invested in your businesses.
Stop!
So
he's actually, this would be a little hard to change because it's in the Constitution. Did you say anything about, I don't know, Denise Rich and the husband? Remember that? And the saxophone and the gift for Bill Clinton and all the money? Did you think about that one? It's a free country we can give to whoever we want. Stay the hell out of it. It's a bad guy, everybody. Very, very bad guy. And now he's talking about, I think he wants harm to come to President Trump. I really do. And those that falsely claim that President Trump is an authoritarian, he's a dictator, he's a fascist, all this stuff. But what would you do given the chance if it's 1940 and you're in Germany and you have a gun, right? You'd kill Hitler if you could. That's why they portray him as Hitler, because they want somebody to do what a lot of people would have done on Hitler. And I can understand with Hitler. Keep going.
Restoring some sense of the Justice Department being independent in making judgments about specific cases and prosecutions. I would consult with Eric Holder, with my Attorney General, all the time around broad policy issues. But that's different than who do you charge, what case do you bring. Second thing is the military. Don't politicize our military. As president, you are commander-in-chief. You are responsible for directing our military. But there had been a whole series of norms that were in place to ensure that you weren't trying to make that military loyal to you as opposed to the Constitution and the people of the United States. We're going to have to find mechanisms to restore that. And then,
mechanisms. Now, what the hell you mean by mechanisms? What the hell is that supposed to mechanisms? What do you have in mind, Barack? What do you have in mind? No, the military should be loyal to the President of the United States. The Constitution. Forget about the Constitution for a second. And oh my God, how can you say that? Because it ain't a soldier's job to evaluate the Constitution. We have a Supreme Court for that. All right? It says right in the commission, right there, you obey the orders of the President of the United States. And you want to talk about politicizing the military. Look at what Milley did. Look at what, George W. Bush did. George W. Bush was endorsed by John McCain on a military base. All right? That stuff is wrong. You guys, you think you could get this past me? Huh? All right? And I'm going to start telling people like where I am and where I'm going and that kind of thing. And I'm going to have to write one of those notes if anything happens to me. You know what I mean? I'm getting that vibe. All right. Look, I got to just be level with you here, Chris. I don't think I can help your situation. You're telling me all these problems you got, and I'm sorry, but I mean, really, realistically, what do you want me to do?
Just want you to put it on the air stating that the simple fact that the Medicaid fraud here in New York City will make California and Minnesota look like a candy store. All right,
but okay, that's valid, I guess. But the thing that you're going to be homeless tomorrow, and I don't like all that stuff. I mean, what's going on? I mean, that's that's the bottom. What?
Medicaid, New York State Health actually has a program called the SCN program, which is a social care network, which outsources people that are either disabled or have a problem with housing. And I'm a part of the people that have a problem with the housing, okay? And I'm a disabled person on SSI who can't afford to live here in New York City. They have you jump through hoops, okay? I'm one single person, Greg. I don't have a loud voice and listeners like you guys do, like you do, or Mr. Catsimatidis or anybody else.
Wait a second, buddy. All right. And we all got to go about our lives and get things done. All right. I haven't always had a microphone. I had to go to the office. I had to go to the government office. I know it's a pain in the neck, and I know there's red tape, and I know all that stuff. All right. Nothing's easy in life. Nobody has it easy, including John Catsimatidis, including and especially me. You don't know about everybody else's struggles. Don't start putting yourself down and putting us up on some sort of crazy pedestal. All right? I say this with love. Now, what is the issue? Number one, all right? Don't shame me for, having a house. What is the deal? How can we help? What do you actually need?
What I need is actually help from either a politician or somebody out there that's listening to help me with this SCN program, because even with Fidelis...
What do you want with this SCN program? What do you need? Some politician. We're in a bad spot right now if we're looking for politicians to come to the rescue, as you know. All right? I mean, that's a bad spot to be in. You said you were getting discriminated against and you got all this other stuff. I mean, all right. So what? Just do me a favor. Two things. How did they screw you over? How did you specifically get screwed over?
Okay, so there's a place called Public Solutions who outsources to community-based organizations. Now, I had to deal with them for quite a while, okay, to a point there was no more communication that I had to go to State Senator Stephen Chan's office, for them to actually help me get back involved with them.
All right. Now, why did they why did they stop talking to you? Why are you always going to the politicians for help? Why are you going to the radio? What happened between you and these people?
What happened to me is that the discrimination for a simple fact is that I'm poor. Okay, I have nothing because I'm on SSI, and I found this program, which is through Medicaid and through Fidelis and other Medicaid.
Do you work? Do you work?
No, I'm on SSI, sir.
But how bad is your disability?
100%, sir.
Okay, so what am I supposed to do?
I just hopefully and pray into the good Lord Jesus Christ that there's a listener out there.
When you say, when you say you're 100% disabled, what does that mean? Do you have arms? Do you have legs? Can you walk?
Yes, I could barely walk, sir.
All right.
I had reconstructive leg surgery.
Well, you're not the only one. Do you ride the subway?
Very slightly, but
very slightly rides the subway. What the hell does that mean?
Because New York don't have elevators in all the subways, so there's certain stops I can't get at or anything like that. So I applied for Cesaride.
And how did that go?
I'm actually waiting for them to get back to me. So it's just been a little hard. I've been homeless before, sir.
How old are you?
I am 47 years old, sir.
Well, don't call me sir, if you don't mind. I don't know what to do. This SSI, I'm not, I don't know, but I don't know from this paperwork. I just, and what do they say? If I call these people up, what are they going to say about you?
They're going to say that we tried to help them, and there was nobody out there to help them. Okay.
Well, we tried to help them, and then what happened? What's the problem? They tried, and then what happened?
There's nobody out there willing to help me.
Why is that? Is there an attitude problem here? Come on, be honest.
No, sir, not at all. I'm just upset. I'm actually sitting in the park right now because I can't walk any further because I just went to a couple different places to try for help, and I'm just in a little bit of pain right now with my leg, sir. That's all.
All right. Well, there are worse places. Carlos, I have no idea. What the hell do we do? What do we do? All right, take this guy's number, all right? I can't help, but I got to take your number. But I don't want to get sucked into something, all right? I don't want to be driving all over the place, looking at apartments, putting deposits down. I can't do that, all right? I just, there's only so much time in the day. I feel terrible, but part of me thinks that you're shirking some responsibility here. I could be wrong. I'll be right back.
Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Why is the middle class shrinking? Why are people facing an affordability crisis while marginalized individuals called informals grow in numbers? Join me as I travel the world, speaking with people living in invisibility, the leaders working to solve it, and uncovering the hard truths shaping our economy and daily reality.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform. Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Oh my goodness gracious, we got to turn it around real quick. We almost ran out of time, but we'll be right back after the music.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
What's that?
Is he going to shoot us?
Is what going to shoot us?
The bullets that are coming.
No, they're not going to hit us.
Why?
Because they're far away.
Oh, is it in the Middle East?
It's in the Middle East, yes, very good.
But why is there's a Middle East here, and why is it in Australia?
No, it's not in Australia.
Oh, I know. It is in Israel.
Closer, yeah.
Melbourne?
No, Israel.
That's where my Nana lives.
Right.
I can't even hear it.
Aw, that's little Annalise. She's 6 years old and worried about the war overseas. Very worried. I am somehow less worried. I think this thing is coming in for a nice, sweet landing. Let's bring in General Blaine Holt. U.S. Air Force retired, great strategist, great businessman. General, welcome back. Is this thing coming down? Is this thing ending or what?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Greg. I think it's on final approach. I'm just amazed at all of the folks that have found all these other little weird angles about how it's all just blowing up in President Trump's face and it's the end of the moon and the world and everything else. And I've not seen such Debbie Downers. Look, we're on the right track. Every hour that goes by, this regime is about to crumble. And now they go to their former mama bear called China, who said, get lost. You guys need to sign a deal. That's what they're going to tell them anyway when they arrive. And they're going to tell them that, we got President Trump coming in here. We don't need to be embarrassed, and we don't need to see Iran as a leverage card. This is going to work out. I think it's going to work out just fine.
Well, that's a big relief. I don't understand all of the ins and outs. Now, I understand negotiations. What do they want? What is the big thing that they want from us that we may have to give them? Do you know what it is?
Yep, they're going to, and this is where the impasse is going to be with this regime and why they're going to come off the table, is they're never going to give up some sort of nuclear ambition ever. And it's for two reasons. One reason is they want to maintain control in their dictatorship and theocracy of the Iranian people, and they feel like giving that up will severely weaken them, and they're correct. Number two, they believe that if Israel sees that they're never, ever going to have a nuclear weapon, that they'll be open for the pickings, the regime, not the people. And it's not an altogether inaccurate analysis. So they're never going to waver on that, and it's the end of days for them. I just believe we'll probably get to a place where the table blows up, and then enough time will go by, and the resistance, which is now building up and getting ready to go, will finish them off while we finish off the IRGC militarily. I think it's weeks away from being done.
What about we say, okay, no nukes for 12 and a half years? Is that a number? Is that a decent number? Could we live with that? Could they live with that?
Nobody can live with that, because if you look at the history of the United States, the president who was president 12 years ago decided to take jets full of cash, $1.8 billion, and went there Neville Chamberlain style and said, pretty please with sugar on it. And all they did was create more terrorist organizations around the world, terrorists that we have to deal with to this day. So the only guy who's had the bravery and the courage to confront this and their banking overlords at the City of London, financialists, is President Trump. And he is unapologetically dismantling it. Now, he's doing it in a very elegant way, because by being very back and forth with, hey, deals on, deals off, deals on, deals off, what's happening is it's destroying the algorithms in the oil markets, the automated trading, and the futures markets are largely stabilized. So the volatility's down while we deal with a very volatile creature that needs to come off the table for our grandchildren's sake.
Wow, this is very interesting. All right, now let me ask you the following. The one thing that I'm really worried about and have been worried about as we go more into the Strait of Hormuz with our ships, if a U.S. naval vessel is sunk, it's cataclysmic. Even though we took out their Navy, we took out their Air Force, we took all those things. If we lose a battleship, and it could it happen, I guess, number one. And number two, if that happens, what do we do and what does it mean?
Yeah, it's possible that could happen. You can't discount the lucky shot, the interceptor that failed, the miscalculation in a navigational course, and IRGC that knows there's no tomorrow, so why not just throw everything you've got left? So that could happen. If that were to happen, it doesn't mean that a lot of people have said, well, then we're going to see 130,000 U.S. forces invade Iran. No, we won't do that. But lightly, what we will do is light up the IRGC and the rest of their strongholds and their bunkers and any embassies harboring them. We will really go scorched earth on the IRGC, and then we will aid and abet a revolution so that the Iranians can close the deal. That would be the pathway at that point.
Real quick, why didn't we do that already with the IRGC? I mean, if we know their little nodes where they are, they were part of the problem all along. I mean, we could have gone harder. Why did we go lighter on them?
I think the reason that we did that is because the president would like to see them turn on each other, which they have done. That has been effective. We know that in the IRGC ranks, which is out of money and can't pay their people, they are openly infighting, and they're infighting with the civilian leadership. That type of disunity, you can't teach that in a war college, and President Trump has brought it about. So what does that mean? It means they're a thin target for us to get after. If we had just got brute force right out of the way, well, they were in possession of a lot of missiles. Now they're in possession of a lot of varied ideas about how to handle this and how to exile themselves and how to fall into the arms of the free Iranian people, although it won't happen either. So I think patience has been a virtue for the president, something that I have not seen in the last 5 presidents.
So do me a favor. This is one of the last 5 presidents, Barack Obama. Carlos, do me a favor. That clip that we haven't yet, okay, with the Colbert. He's out there. He's very creepy. I think Obama's up to no good. Go ahead.
You're right. The Presidential Center is nonpartisan. And the reason I want to mention that is because I'm worried about the Republican Party, not just the Democratic Party. When I was president, people would ask me, well, what change would you like to see in Washington? I'd say, I'd love a loyal opposition. I'd love a Republican Party that was conservative in some ways, that didn't agree with me on a whole bunch of stuff, but believed in rule of law and judicial independence and empirical evidence and science, and wasn't constantly tapping into our worst impulses. And there has been a Republican Party like that in the past, and I want to see that returned because I think you have to have...
He's such a snob. He's so, and this is how he sees America, by the way. The ugly impulses and clinging to guns and God and all of that stuff. There's something about him that deeply, deeply troubles me. He's making more noise out there. He's openly complaining about the president and that he's an authoritarian and waging this illegal war against his enemies, and I just find it a dangerous thing. I don't know. I get the creeps from this guy.
Don't you find it amazing how the lies and the hypocrisy just roll off his tongue as if they were irrefutable truths, when in fact it's just a list of projections? I mean, this is a guy who absolutely would not take a Donald Trump transition and instigated the coup in the fall. And we'll find that out legally. The coup in the fall of President Trump trying to get him impeached through a sham Russiagate. This is a guy who gave $2 billion to the imams. This is a guy who serviced over 474 targets of his own choosing, some Americans on the ground in Pakistan. He's a traitor to this nation, and I don't mind saying that quite openly because he's quite open about his treason. And what he's trying to do right now is communicate by some happenstance, some yarn, as President Trump takes this thing to its logical conclusion, because we'll all be able to look back at that point and go, well, why didn't this happen on Bush's watch or Obama's watch or Clinton's watch? And President Trump will come out of this shining, being right and having a legacy that our grandkids can survive by. Whereas this guy, he's not, he is worth the time on Colbert, because I think there's only about 5 audience members left there.
That's right. What was the first airplane you learned to fly? What's the first airplane you soloed in?
That was the mighty Cessna 150, a 1969 model that beautiful instructor Sonny back at Sonny's Flight Service in Athens, Georgia, taught me to fly, and he soloed me out forcibly and threw me out of the nest at 5.5 hours.
What?
Yep. I couldn't afford any more flight time, and I had to get the solo ticket for Air Force pilot training. So he just said, dude, I don't have enough airplanes for you to watch. Just go take it around the pattern 3 times, and we'll call it a day.
Oh, boy, that was, well, you lived to tell the story. That's amazing. I've seen those little Cessna 150, 152s. They are very, very tiny, but it's got everything you need to learn how to fly. Well, Blaine Holt, you learned how to fly. You learned how to soar. We so appreciate it. Blaine Holt at _irascible. You can go find him there on social media. And real quick, tell me about that very interesting business venture you're involved with.
Yep, Xeriant, XERIANT.com. We are about to certify our first product. It's a replacement for sheetrock, only it's fireproof and waterproof. And we're going to bring this into the market. It's going to be a very big deal. Recycled materials and safe for your house. And we're so excited, and thank you for letting me mention that.
I love it. I love it. I like to make some cash here if I can. I'm going to figure out a way. Are you guys traded on the stock exchange?
Yeah, we are. We're a penny stock right now, XERI, on the OTC. And we're just a penny a share, I think, right now. But that's about all I'm allowed to legally say. And we love the support of our folks around us because we've been bootstrapping this for 5.5 years, and our debut is at hand.
I love it. Good luck. Thank you very much. And see you later, General Holt. Good luck. Get back to work. We want to make that stock grow.
I'm back at it.
All right. I love it. Boy, oh boy, if I buy $1,000 worth of that stock, how many pennies is that? How many pennies in 1,000? What is that? Like 1 million stock? It's a lot of stock. It's 100,000 stock. I'll figure it out. And I think I'm going to call my broker. Be right back.
Hey, I just Venmo'd you for rent.
Nice. Now I can instantly spend it whether I'm checking out online with Venmo or using a Venmo debit card.
Say more.
More exactly. Because the more you do with Venmo, the more you get. Like earning up to 5% cash back with Venmo Stash on a bundle of brands.
So, order more pizza.
The math demands it.
Get the Venmo debit card.
Venmo Stash bundle terms and exclusions apply. See terms at venmo.me/stash terms. Venmo checkout not available at all merchants. Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
They're busting Howard Lutnick's chops about Epstein right now on Capitol Hill. Leave that guy alone. It's a phony baloney story. I'm getting really sick of it. And a lot of people have been lied to. A lot of gullible people out there. All right, we got to split in a moment. I'm working on some stuff for tonight. The Obama reemergence. Something very creepy about it. What the hell is he still doing in Washington, D.C.? I'm going to straighten out everybody about this Constitution. Nobody seems to understand the Constitution. And also nobody seems to understand that politics is actually not a bad thing. Politics is overrelated to democracy and elections, and that's good. You want people accountable. You want the people in power to be accountable to us. And right now, with the deep state and the swamp as big as it is, it's very dangerous. Let's see here. Silas, how are you?
Very good. Yeah, I wanted to just inform you on a lot of things when a guy called in about social services not helping them out. A lot of people fall through the cracks. I had over $3 million worth of property that I was developing, and then the guys who decided they wanted to steal it from me took it, and I became homeless. And this city did nothing for me.
Let me ask you something. Did you have a substance abuse problem or alcohol problem? I
have never smoked a cigarette through fine. I don't touch anything.
You have drink? No drink?
That's why I said Charlie Kirk was wrong, too. Everybody who's homeless is not due to being a drug addict. Some people get swindled, just like they tried to take Donald Trump's property.
Did you? All right. How long are you homeless?
They made a final judgment in last year, so I've been homeless since 2025.
Where were you living? Do you have family?
Saying.
I mean, wait a second. All right. I'm not. I take this as a case by case basis. All right. And that guy wasn't telling me the whole story, as you could probably pick up. All right. I think there might have been some responsibility there. And you tell the city, you want the city. I mean, look, you're kind of screwed when you're looking for the government. What are the scariest words in the world? I'm the government. I'm from the government. I'm here to help. Then again, we do need that safety net because you're right. People do fall through the cracks. So they swindled you. How old are you?
Me now, I'm 72. I was ready to retire. I was developing $8 million worth of property.
And you got kids? You got family? What?
Nothing. No.
But you had $3 million worth of, nothing? No family? Nothing?
No. Well, my mother died in 2014.
Yeah.
And they took that last house. But I'm just saying, and you know about when somebody lies to you. Could you imagine if they got away with lying about you, saying you raped somebody, taking you away from your family, and throwing you in jail? Can you imagine? Because they paid off some judge.
Well,
horror.
I almost, you see, we've all been through some things, and right? So we've all been through some things. And I'm hearing your side, I'm hearing what you say. You sound like a nice guy. What do you want me to do with this information? I mean, I appreciate you calling in, but what next?
Informing you that it's not always, it's not always somebody's irresponsibility. Some people get swindled.
Well, by the way, if you are an addict or you are a alcoholic, I go with that. It's a disease and that kind of thing. And, although I refer to myself also, I became an alcoholic. That was a decision, bad decision after bad decision after bad decision on my part. But I know some people just, take one sniff and then they're hooked. So anyway, are things looking up?
I'm not going to crawl in a hole and start crying. I'm going to start over,
I love it. Things looking up?
Not yet, but I'm trying to, muscle some people together so that we can start reinvesting.
You're going to muscle some people?
Yeah, I'm going to.
Hey, wait a second. Are you in the mob? Staten Island? Is there a little element of criminal here? Just a little one?
No, in fact, mob guys came to me wanting to buy the property first. I think they're the ones who set up this whole deal.
All right. Well, listen, it sounds like you got a fighting spirit, and I wish you luck, and stay in touch. Okay, Silas? And I get it. Yeah, people, right. Yeah, life is tough. Life is tough. God is there. I don't know if you've turned to God lately or given the Bible a try, because I'm telling you, it will set you free. It set me free in so many ways. Thank you, sir. Very, very much. Stay in touch. Susan is standing by. Susan, are you there?
Yes, I am, Greg. Hi. A couple of years ago, I didn't know you, and I was listening to the radio, and I'm hearing this man talk about Obama, and I'm thinking, and he's reading from a book, and I'm thinking, who is he? I agreed with everything, and I had to find out who you were, and then I found out about the book Justice for All, and I was living in Manhattan at the time, and I went to a bookstore, and I said, you don't have this book. You should have this book, and they looked at me like I was crazy, and I said, okay, it's not your style, but you should have the book. Order it. And they did, and it was so ironic because all over the bookstore they had books like How to Talk to a Conservative and things like that. It was really kind of wild. But then I moved and I misplaced the book. But I just found it, so I'm going to start reading it. And I do believe that Obama is probably the most dangerous figure to appear on the American scene within the last 20 years. Who found him? Who put him in a place of power? I don't know. But he is dangerous. He will continue to be dangerous. And I hold him responsible for so many of the ills that have happened. And whenever I hear his sleek voice, it sickens me. And his presence turned me into a very significant conservative on so many different levels. And I just hope that people who listen to him and adore him just wake up and tap into their intelligence. And they realize who this man is. He wants the end of this country. Period. The end. That's what he wants. So that's really all I want to say. And I'll get back to you after I've read the book.
I love it. I appreciate it. I've heard, I walked into a Barnes & Noble and there was the book right there. So it's an interesting response you got. I'm very suspicious of Obama as well. Hey, but get this. Remember this. We wouldn't have had Trump if we didn't have Obama. You know what I mean? We had to go through Obama to get to Trump. If you think about it, right? Trump
read the book.
Yeah, and enjoy the book. Thank you, Susan. Francis, is he there?
All right, I think it's time for Trump to start doing something about the weight problem in this country. Every time I turn around, I see a fat ass, and I'm.
Hey, did you cut him off? He was making a good point. I want to hear this guy. What'd you do?
I don't want to look at your bum or your feet.
Sorry?
I don't want to look at your fat ass or your feet.
No. Francis, tell us more.
Every time I'm on the street, people they're getting fatter, they're getting stupider, and they're getting on my nerves. They're getting on my damn nerves.
All right, calm down. This has got to be a cartoon character. Are you calling from the cartoons? You sound like a cartoon character. I don't think people like you exist anymore. By the way, anyway, I'll leave it there. Thank you, Francis. Thank you so much. Charming, as always. Anthony, I'm sorry we can't get to you, and Rachel and the rest, but to be continued. I got to do some videos for tonight, and they're going to be popping. You may want to check out what I did on Gavin Newsom last night at Greg Kelly USA on all social media platforms, including Substack.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. You know, your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.